I'm joined today by Jenny Tasker, Head of International Clients and Regional Director Corporate Banking for Santander, and John Hyde, Relationship Director Corporate Banking. Hi both. We know that businesses that export grow faster, they grow their people, their IP faster and their profits. And I note from your autumn 2021 trade barometer that companies trading internationally are more confident about business growth. In fact, 71% undeterred by the impact of COVID-19 on global markets. But Jenny, what do you see as the main blockers to international growth and how can they be overcome?
There are a number of drag factors that are inhibiting international growth. Brexit, COVID. Businesses have a lot to unpack before they think about applying for financing to fund international trade or opening an international bank account. I think first of all, they need to establish, is there a market for my product? They need to overcome potentially some bureaucracy, potentially some new bureaucracy around labelling requirements, origin of goods, for example. They then probably need to contend with logistics, which we know is very topical at the moment. They then maybe need to look at things like, can I find a premises in the market? Can I find staff? And therefore, what I'd suggest is engage your trusted advisors early. So start talking to your bank, start talking to great firm of accountants, lawyers, because these blockers are not insurmountable. We know that the businesses that do persist, that they are more successful, that they are more optimistic, and they are more resilient.
If you're going to go into new markets or indeed or expand a market research is so important. Where do they go for that support? And I know you have Santander Trade, which is very powerful in that respect. Can you tell me more about that, John?
Yeah, Santander Trade is a very powerful tool. There are two aspects to it. One is digital and one is bespoke and personal. The digital tool is accessed via a portal and it's free to our customers. It brings together a lot of information that's already available in the public domain, but allows businesses to research in a more ordered and structured way. You put in your HS code that describes the type of product that you're exporting. The portal will automatically generate for you top 5, top 10, top 25 of countries around the world that import. So not just on volumes, because you'll find the States or China are often at the top, but also on growth. You can immediately find which are the up and coming areas that import your product. The portal then takes you on a further journey. We can help you find specific trading partners in those countries. We've got access to a database that in many cases it'll have email addresses and even contact names, and it's information that you can export. And it goes beyond that. There's all sorts of general information on taxes in the local countries and shipping documents required. Also, if you're further down the line and you're established in those countries and you want to think about setting up a subsidiary, it talks to you about the legal form to do that and how to do that and contacts professionally. So it takes you on the whole journey.
And you mentioned the human side to it as well. Can you talk to us about that?
So that digital tool allows our customers to research themselves, but we back that up with our international and sectors offering. So we have people working for Santander that aren't bankers, but they're experts in particular sectors, be it manufacturing or wholesale and retail, but also experts from the countries. So they may have lived there or maybe from those countries. And in the UK, we have an international desk based in London, and they connect with their counterparties on international desks for other Santander countries around the world. We can team up our international desk experts, our sector experts with the customer to then follow up on some of the research they've done themselves.
So Jenny, when should businesses start talking to their bank if they are looking to expand internationally?
Absolutely as soon as possible. We can work with businesses to help be part of that decision, whether to export or not, whether to set up in a country or not, and where is the greatest demand. Don't have your deliberations behind closed doors. Talk to partners who you trust that can help you scope out the opportunity, do some smart research.
With growth, we know comes working capital challenges. How can I finance that growth?
There are a multitude of different ways in which we can support, some of which involve borrowing money, some of which don't involve borrowing money, some of which are much more structured, like trade loans, for example, some of which are more fluid, revolving capital facility or an overdraft. But there are also ways in which we can unblock pain points in trade cycles. For example, if you're dealing with a counterparty overseas you've never dealt with before, they don't perhaps know or trust you, we can help with standby letters of credit, guarantee structures that don't involve borrowing money, but can really help your working capital cycle. We'd love to talk to businesses early. We can then really put in place an optimized structure to reduce the amount of time that cash is tied up in a working capital cycle and free up more cash for investment.
What I'm learning today is that there's a whole range of products that will enable businesses to be a lot more sophisticated about the way they finance their business.
Nothing wrong with an overdraft. It is a great complementary facility. But when customers are looking at, for example, exporting for the first time or exporting to a new market, they may want to see a facility that has a little more structure to it. So there are ways in which we can structure facilities which provide liquidity, but also more visibility, more structure, more accountability, less risk. Another way in which we can support businesses on their exporting and importing journey is also by the management of the foreign exchange risk. And again, the key is engaging us early, so we understand the currency pairs that businesses are working with, how long those trade cycles might be, what their risk appetite is.
Another area that I know a lot of my clients are interested in is the USA. Brexit has raised the complexities of doing business in Europe, so if you're going to embrace complexity, you might look to the sizable and sometimes more culturally appropriate market, which is the USA.
So for a long, long time, our close neighbours in the EU were the number one destination for businesses looking to expand. Partially, I think, due to Brexit, partially due to the fact that other companies are already there. We have a very strong and close relationship with our sister company in the US. Uniquely, they can support businesses of all sizes. We have solutions that can offer a US bank account, ability to trade in the US if you're just expanding. We see huge opportunities for growth for businesses to look to the US and North America.
Yeah, and I think it's not just North America. It's there's other exciting developments. I know the UK is now going through a process of accession to the Trans-Pacific Pacific Rim Trade Agreement, which is a market, interestingly, that is on a par with the EU in terms of its size. Problem is, when you're going that far afield, logistics increasingly becomes a challenge. And I know for a lot of businesses, finding the right distributor can be an issue.
Actually, only last week, I've had a meeting with a company in the food and drink sector, and they've struggled to get into some key European markets. I think up to about 2016, they were sold through Carrefour in Spain, but they lost that listing. Spain is a key territory for Santander. It's where the bank originated, and we've got a massive customer base there. Talked to our counterpart at Santander Spain, and we came up trumps. We found them a company, set up the meeting, sat in on the meeting with them, and both parties were very excited, came away from that meeting thinking this is a perfect match. Also, another key market that they want to get into is Italy. Santander isn't present in Italy, but we are members of a distributors association called ESMA. I think it stands for the European Sales and Marketing Association. There are 90 plus members in about 46 territories, Italy being one of them. So we've gone away from our meeting last week to talk to our fellow members of ESMA to see if we can find a suitable distributor for our customer to talk to.
I'd just like to come back to bank accounts. The need for a bank account happens quite early on when you start to have a degree of permanence in a territory, but it can be a real challenge getting it set up.
A couple of examples recently, one in Spain, one in the States. With the one in the States, we got the account open within a couple of months. But the important thing for our UK customer was that all the account opening could be done remotely from here. So we made the process simple.
That can be an incredibly practical, powerful sell, that if you can actually set something up 5,000 miles away while still in the UK. And I know, Jenny, for your existing clients, they can benefit from a number of banking partners. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
We are in 10 core markets, predominantly across Europe, North America, and LATAM.
Latin America, yeah.
Absolutely. In countries where we don't operate, we have a series of alliance banks. We had an example recently, actually, with a company whose subsidiary was banking in India. The subsidiary bank in India decided it was no longer comfortable to support them overseas, which was a shame, and it almost actually put the brakes on quite a significant UK transaction. What we were able to do in that instance is introduce them to another market-leading Indian bank and actually get bank accounts open and the process unblocked in a matter of weeks.
Fantastic. I have a real passion for export. In economic terms, if the UK is exporting, it's the loan that doesn't have to be paid back. You have an inward flow of money. In that spirit, Jenny, what takeaway messages would you want to give businesses when they're grappling with that mental challenge almost of saying, right, I want to export, but I don't know how?
The UK, in terms of GDP, represents just a really, really tiny proportion of global GDP, but it's also a really, really important strategic market. So it's an excellent market from which to embark your international journey. I know I've said this a few times, but engage those trusted partners early. Make sure you're sharing your ambitions, because if you find that trusted network, they can help you plot your route to growth and take out some of the risk and take out some of the bureaucracy. So be bold, be brave, seize the opportunity, use the sources of information and expertise that are available to you, and go for it.
All of that is very powerful, and a lot of businesses probably don't realise that not just from their accountant and their lawyer, but they can get that from their bank. It's been absolutely fascinating. John, Jenny, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope that serves as a call to action to businesses to grow their export business. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.